This episode is sponsored by Well Balanced Nutrition and 360 Health.
Welcome to the Health Geeks Book Club podcast. Listen in as Kristen Norton and Eleanor Russell review all those great health and wellness books you've been wanting to read or you have read and want to talk about. Here's Kristen and Eleanor.
I'm loaded for bear today, Kristen. You know, we have been reading some interesting books, and I'm Eleanor Russell with 360health4u.com, and I like to help people stay healthy as long as they can. So I say I'm making healthy happen, so talk to me sometime. What are you doing, Kristen?
Well, I am a registered dietitian of Well Balanced Nutrition, where we help people live healthy lifestyles, one habit at a time.
Yeah. So that habit thing is kind of taking me to the how-to. How do we do it? What is the habit? So here, just roll with me. I would like you to place your thumb of your right hand gently over your right nostril and the ring finger of that same hand on the left nostril, and the forefinger and middle finger should rest between the eyebrows. Got that? Are y'all with me?
Okay.
Now, at the top, okay, close the right nostril. Okay, we did that. At the top of the breath, pause briefly, hold the nostrils closed, then lift the thumb to the exhale through the right nostril. At the natural, and listen to this, at the natural conclusion of the exhale, hold both nostrils closed for a moment, then inhale through the right nostril. Now, I don't know how to do that if they're both closed. And continue alternating breaths through the nostril for 5 to 10 cycles. Did you get that?
I had a hard time with that.
Me too. I think I'm going to have to go to a class. But anyway, that's called the alternate nostril breathing, and it would be a very effective technique to employ before a meeting, an event, or sleep. And you were just sharing with me Christmas tension and ways that people de-stress for that.
So I was telling a story that I'll tell you listeners that I don't know if you can relate. I bet you can. But the holidays, although they're supposed to be a fun, happy time, they can be very a high tension time. And in my family, that was sometimes the case. And my parents have both been longtime smokers. And back then, they were definitely smoking, and I remember feeling all of this tension from going to a family party and feeling really stressed, and I had this big outburst, and I said, well, you have something to make you feel better. You go smoke a cigarette. I don't have anything. And I was, young. I could.
But now you have this, let's place the left thumb on the right.
Well, yeah, and I thought about it as I've grown older that, with smoking, you go outside, you get some fresh air, you're taking a deep breath in and out. And so sometimes I would just pretend like I'm taking a cigarette break without the cigarette.
Well, now I think you're onto something there, because I was sharing with you.
Bourbon.
No.
Okay.
No.
That when I was at work and not at my home anymore, I mean my home-based business, but working for somebody else, people that smoked would get up in the middle of the morning, and they would from their desk and walk outside and smoke a cigarette, listen to the birds, talk to each other, have a little social happy time. And I would sit at my desk and work the whole time. They did the same thing in the afternoon. And so as much as we bash smoking, there actually were some habits associated with smoking that probably would have given great health benefit. It's the fact that they just put the particulate toxic smoke in their lungs. Yeah. And when we were reading that little exercise I had us do together was from James Nestor's book on breath, The New Science of a Lost Art. And that was kind of fun because I'm still trying to practice the breathing techniques. But in the cancer book that we read by Dr. Jason Fung, he did make the point that by eliminating smoking, we did have a little divot in the cancer story. It reduced lung cancers. People that quit smoking have had a benefit from that. So while the smoking habit in toto was maybe had some good parts, it had a really negative piece, and that was the cigarette.
So can we invent this new thing called like breathing breaks
instead
of smoke breaks?
Or just Take a break. I mean,
break.
a lot of these books are telling us, take a break. Your focus is better, if you don't stay at the desk for all day long.
Why is that so hard to convince ourselves to do? Because I have this conversation a lot with clients, and I experience it with myself. Like the to-do list is running our minds.
And it never ends.
And we know that we should take a break and it would be beneficial, but it's just so hard to convince ourselves that that is a treat that we deserve, to go out in nature, to walk a little bit, to take some deep breaths and not think about anything for a minute.
Yeah, and I don't know the answer to that, but that's where I think we could make a significant difference in our lives, is if we get control of that idea that we don't have to be workaholics. Now, and that's kind of counter to the American way, work hard, work hard, work hard, and long, and that's how you succeed and that's how you get ahead. But I do think there are a lot of business books out there that are talking about shorter work weeks and more productivity, because they're pulling in some of this health and wellness practice to the workplace, which you and I would like to help people do, wouldn't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
We'd love to get in the workplace and help you guys figure out how to take a break and increase productivity.
Yeah, and make that part of the culture.
And reduce days lost due to illness.
Exactly.
Because that's another thing that's a cost to the businesses, is what are you, putting people in these grinds is not necessarily going to, in the long run, be a business decision that's a good one.
Yeah, I was once working.
If we're looking at bottom line.
I was once working with a man who had a leadership role in a company, and we had lots of conversations about how, he had an opportunity to make exercise a normal thing, to make, instead of the happy hour being excessive, to bring in some healthy habits to get to know your employees and whatnot. And he really struggled, especially with the workaholic piece, because he's like, well, it's ingrained in me that I need to be a hard worker if I want other people to be a hard worker. So if they see me not working, then what kind of role or example am I showing? And so it's really hard to change
mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
It's
you are
interesting.
setting a good example. Take care of yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the work we do together will be better if we take care of ourselves. And it might be even more fun, because the stress levels come down and then the health benefits go up. I think another situation is caregivers. When you say, take a break, well, a caregiver might not be able to take a break. So they're at really great risk of adopting some of these health practices, but like breathing would be one they might be able to incorporate, because they could maybe do that while watching over a loved one that requires full-time attention.
Yeah, the art of breathing is really great, because you can do it anywhere.
And the art of eating.
Except driving in.
Right. Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Or in a
caution.
No.
Yeah, but the eating is another thing that caregivers fall off the scale on too, is because preparation of food, choice of food, getting it because they can't leave the house, if they're taking care of somebody. So that those people really have a challenge. But we do have, you and I think, have some ideas of ways to help them move through that caregiving period if they find themselves in it, and not become the victim themselves, which happens to a lot of caregivers.
Yeah, it's a very tricky situation to be in, and you have to set boundaries, really, like your self-care boundaries around that. And it can be challenging when, on one hand, you want to be caring for this person, need to be caring for this person. And on the other hand, you're important too.
Yep.
And you've got to make that time, or you're not going to be a good caregiver. Yeah. Right? You have to have a full cup in order to give to others.
Exactly. And so making sure that the support networks are there and access to support is huge. Another group of people that I worry about are young moms. And particularly single moms who have total responsibility for childcare and moving people around and providing for them. That's the heavy stress, time.
Absolutely.
It doesn't last forever, but the time that you're in it can be crippling to your health, and bad habits creep in there. Smoking, we were talking about smoking, sometimes that's one of the bad habits that finds its way back.
Yeah, those kind of parents need a break, and some of them find it extremely hard to get that.
Well, yeah, it's almost out of the question. You and I can sit here and say, this is the things that you should do to be healthy. And it's like, how am I going to make that happen?
Exactly.
And that's...
You're sleep deprived. You may or may not have family around to support you.
May or may not have money to buy the Trader Joe food or the whole food.
That's right.
Or time to prepare it. But according to Chewing, we should just eat raw food. So maybe we can reduce the preparation. We have some challenges, don't we, Kristen?
We do. So we read these wonderful books and these fun new ideas. And the reality is that being human is hard, and life brings about challenges that make it not so easy to implement all of these things.
But remaining hopeful is where, I think we can help people, is hope abounds. Mm-hmm. There are answers, and reach out if you're having trouble. Right. Reach out. Don't sit in your soup too long.
And I'm all about baby steps, right? You don't have to take a giant leap, but any small baby step towards a healthier, happier existence is going to be beneficial. And sometimes we have that all or nothing mentality.
Exactly.
But don't be afraid to take a baby step. Yeah.
And to just be. This idea of maybe we're all becoming who we are meant to be. So just be, and it will unfold.
I'm feeling
very... Well, I don't know that I have too much more to say right now. How about you?
I don't.
Oh, well, actually, I do.
Okay.
We've finished reading some books, and we want to read
now on second thought.
Yeah, on second thought, now that I took that breath of air and got some carbon dioxide in my brain, what about the next book? So we have all sorts of potential topics we could read on, and I'm kind of excited about 2 books that I would like to put in the hopper. We don't know which ones we're going to pull out yet, and Kristen is always finding the latest, hottest book, so we'll see what she comes up with soon. But I want to look at the end of food allergy, because I've run into a lot of people say, I can't eat that, and my kids can't eat that. And so I'm thinking, I need to know more about food allergies, and is there a way through that? And so I found a book that I'm recommending us to read. You have one?
No, but I was going to say I'm excited to read the food allergy. Allergies are something that are becoming more and more common. And
what's that about?
If you want to read along with us, go for it. What's the other one?
Read along with us. We have a Facebook group called the Health Geek Book Club Podcast, and we'd love you to join us in there. And you can find us on Facebook to do that. The other book I'd like to read has to do with brain health. I think we're learning much more about how to take care of that little thing that's up above our eyes, the brain. And so Brainwash by Perlmutter is a book that I would like to read.
I have so many that I'd like to read that I can't even think about what we would do next, but I think those 2 are a great place to start. And
but you know what? We can surprise them.
We can surprise them.
Yeah, come in with a surprise. So those of you out there, if you're liking what we're doing, send us a note. Let us know what happened in your life as a result of listening to our podcasts.
And you can do that on our Facebook page. You can email me, Kristen, at Well Balanced Nutrition, or
me at 360health4u.com. Go to that website, and there's a place to connect with me.
Yeah, so please reach out. We'd love to hear from you, and also give us a rating. Let us know what you think of this podcast. Should we keep doing it? It's important to get your feedback, your ratings, and your stories. So please reach out, and thanks as always for listening in and joining our Health Geek journey.
And keep reading, keep learning, keep happy, stay healthy, and we'll catch you the next time.
And opinions stated in this podcast are solely those of the contributors and are not necessarily those of our distributors or hosting company. This podcast is copyrighted, and no part can be reproduced without the express written consent of Kristen and Eleanor.